Welcome everyone to the 4th episode of The Love Doctor on SPTV. We have a great show up ahead filled with commentary, advice, and opinion. But you may wonder how I myself, the Love Doctor, have enough authority to advise you on this matter. Well, even though my love life is virtually non-existent, I have seen those close to me go through a variety of experiences that I feel equip me to give you sound, knowledgeable advice. Today I have two guests with me, Kendra and Christian. Please take this time to introduce yourselves.
I'm Kendra. I am a senior here at UWSP studying English education. I feel that I am equipped to give sound love advice because I actually met my long-term boyfriend over Facebook Love Confessions.
That's awesome. Glad to have you.
My name is Christian. I'm also a senior here at UWSP. I am currently single, but I've been around the block a few times, and I feel like I have some insight that's going to be worth sharing today.
Oh, we look forward to it. Well, today we are discussing a topic that no quality college dating show could be without, the ever-prevalent hookup culture. We took it to the streets to find out what thoughts and opinions students have on the matter, and this is what we found.
People have to find themselves different ways. A lot of people find college is a great place for it. I mean, they find the time, they find new people, and that's for some people. And some people don't agree with that, and some people do. But I think we're all in college for different reasons, and we have to be more tolerant of everyone. So.
And then you're away from home, or usually go to college away from home, you're farther away from home, so like your family, friends and stuff, it doesn't get around to your town. Like in high school, everybody knew and whatnot. But I guess it's your life, it's your choices.
I think the college hookup scene is more accepted these days just because everyone's busy with school and I don't know, there's not always time to, have a dinner date and get to know someone. It's also, I think, sometimes frowned upon by more proper groups of people, but overall, in this century, I think it's okay.
I think that initially it has good intents, but I think ultimately, I guess I'm not a huge fan of the sexual culture in our country. I'm from a broken family, and so I suffered the ill effects of a broken home growing up, which had a huge impact on my life. So I think initially, maybe it sounds like a good idea, but ultimately it leads to a lot of confusing emotions when there's a lot of hookups going on between different people on campus and can set an ill precedent towards the future.
My thoughts on the hookups in college. I think that it might be more prevalent than it was when I first started, but I think it's kind of stayed the status quo of the same as hookups and then pursuing relationships. I think more people pursue relationships later on in school than they do necessarily when they first enter as freshmen or sophomores.
Okay, I have had 0 hookups, and I believe that you shouldn't hook up in college because that is how STDs are transferred.
Okay, so with hookups, I really feel that every individual is different. Everybody's looking for something different at every point in their life. And at this point, when we're college aged, our 20s, mid-20s, maybe late 20s, we don't always have time to, pursue a full-on relationship. So sometimes the hookup culture can work for people. However, I do think that it can get really messy really fast, especially when the two people don't communicate and aren't on the same page with what they're actually doing. And so there can be a lot of hurt feelings at the end of situations like that, I think. But overall, I don't think anybody should be judged for their choices in that area of their lives, especially at this point.
No, I definitely agree, just because I think people need to, again, like you said, be really upfront about what they expect from a relationship. And the hookup culture can be good to figure out what you like, because again, we're just starting to get to know ourselves, and let alone figuring out how we interact in certain situations with another person, which changes over the years. But again, if you want something a little less superficial and something more concrete, you kind of need to make that up front because the other person might not be able to reciprocate.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with you guys that it can be very messy if someone in it does catch feelings one way or the other. I think more often than not, it does kind of lead to hurt feelings just because people don't have kind of a clear understanding of what they're doing and what the idea is behind it. I would also say that college is, I think, a formative time for a lot of people, and it's a time where we're really permitted to make a lot of mistakes that we probably couldn't make after college. And I think it's a time to, kind of see, like you said, kind of see what you like, and they always say, sow your wild oats, which I always wondered what that meant. I thought it was super weird, but I do think that it's definitely permissible. I don't think it's necessarily as negative as some people might think. There's always talk of the spread of STDs, and it's a non-committal, non-breakup situation, so nobody really ever talks or has any real communication. But I think that if it's handled in the right way, and if people are mature about it, I think it can actually be a kind of a beneficial thing as well.
Mm-hmm. I do think that a lot of the time one person will have stronger feelings than the other, and I think that kind of happens more often than not, and that's where, the real messiness happens. When one person is super into it and the other is just kind of flying by the seat of their pants.
And I definitely, along that line, people need to also think of what they could potentially lose or gain in some cases from that sort of relationship, and kind of weigh the costs of that. If they are into just having, just a buddy and something like that, okay, but again, you need to also weigh those consequences of like potential infections or an oops. So it's like, and again,
got to account for that.
Yeah, and weighing that cost and knowing if they themselves are in a position where they could actually have lifelong consequences for the choices they make. So you kind of got to consider that.
And then when it does end, are you still going to be friends? What's going to happen with that? Because a lot of the times the communication just completely ends. But if you don't want to stop being friends, you kind of got to be upfront about that.
Exactly.
Too.
And also, I guess, where it starts off too. If you are like really close friends and you kind of want to test the waters and then it backfires, are you guys going to be able to like talk out that awkwardness, or are you going to like lose a best friend potentially?
Exactly.
So
a lot of things to take into consideration.
I think it definitely does have the potential to become very awkward one way or another. And it's not even awkwardness between two people, it's their friends and your friends, and it's almost like you were in a relationship in the first place. So I think with this type of situation, the boundaries can get blurred really easily. And there is kind of an underlying idea of almost irresponsibility with it if people are really looking for a relationship, but then they go into it with kind of the wrong idea and they have an expectation. And I think it's really important for people to be safe about it and to have like a proper expectation and to communicate as well.
Exactly. I think we're all kind of on the same page with everything.
Yeah.
A lot of items to take into consideration.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's time to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with more love advice from college students for college students.
Hi, I'm Laura Braun, the General Manager at SPTV. I'm a Stevens Point native and want to make sure that we're providing you with the best local coverage of all the news, sports, and entertainment as we possibly can. If you have any questions or comments about our organization, feel free to email us or stop by our offices. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and can't wait to meet you, because today we can make media together.
My name is Julia Flaherty. I'm the current promotions director at SBTV. My job allows for me to have a lot of personal creative direction because that is the team environment that we instill here at SBTV. This past summer, I had the opportunity to write for hercampus.com as well as thedailyquirk.com. Personally, I feel that being involved with SBTV has really helped boost my confidence and my ability to network with other students. If student media is something that interests you, and even if you're not really sure what student media means, you should stop by our studios. We are looking forward to having you involved this year, and we cannot wait to make media with you.
You're watching SPTV here on Channel 983 on Charter.
Welcome back. It is now time to answer questions from UWSP's Love Confessions Facebook page. Our first question is, I think one of my guy friends likes me. I like him too, and I feel like we're both really obvious about it. We are always hanging out, and he seems to treat me like his girlfriend, but he won't make an actual move. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm too chicken to make the first move because what if I'm reading all the signals wrong? Help. Well, you know what I always say? Just go for it. You got to be upfront with that. You got to be, how do you feel about me? I like you. Just be honest about it. And, go from there, because that's really all you can do. Because if you don't ask, you'll never know. I mean, if he treats you like his girlfriend, he probably does see you as his girlfriend, or, those initial steps leading up to a relationship. So just go for it.
Definitely. And also, chances are that he's probably a chicken, so you're kind of just going to have to be the forward one and just make that move. And it can just be as simple as, hey, I feel this way. What do you feel? Which, it takes a lot of guts, but what if you don't say it?
There's nothing wrong with being forward.
Exactly.
That's the best way to be.
Yeah, I think he's, in a way, probably fearing dejection and just fearing that she's going to say, yeah, I don't feel that way. But she says that he's treating her like she's his girlfriend, so then act like his girlfriend and give him a smooch. Go for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to find out if you don't try. So, and if he's not going to make a move, then you can't live like that forever or at all, really.
Yeah, because if you keep going like that, then it's just going to get more confusing, and then maybe you'll find interest in someone else, and then he'll finally say something, and then that'll just be bad for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty sound advice there, I think. All right, well, the second question is it weird that she never initiates a conversation with me or texts me until I message her and we've known each other for a few months? Well, I assume this is a romantic question, that you're romantically interested in each other. And if that's the case, you're probably overthinking it, because college students are really busy. There's work, there's school, there's family, there's a million other things. You gotta have time for sleep and eating and fun. And so, if someone's not texty all the time, that's not really anything to worry about, I don't think. There are times when people will nonstop text, and there are times that they don't have time for it at all. And, this is another situation. Just ask, how do you feel about me? What is this? Where's this going?
Yeah, and speaking from a female's perspective, chances are I kind of have a slightly different opinion. If I don't text you back, chances are I don't really want to talk to you, but I'm afraid to hurt your feelings, or she doesn't know how to say, hey, you're a nice guy, but, so I guess, again, just be upfront, and even if you do face a little bit of rejection, there's plenty of girls out there.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think if you're, in a way, if you're waiting on a text, that's kind of your own thing, that's your own situation, but if you're always one to initiate a conversation, I think you're probably more interested than she is. And I think you kind of have to keep that in mind. And if you want to say something, that's your own decision. But maybe just cool your jets for a while. Give it a couple of days, see what happens. It's not, people in this type of situation always overthink it. Regardless of it, whether they're not that type of person or not, when it starts to get into their head, that's kind of all they think about, and they start to fixate. But I would say, like I said before, just give it some time.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And it's really easy to overthink this type of situation. But if you are, the only one kind of texting and she's not, responding if you don't talk for a couple days, it's probably a pretty clear indication that there's no serious interest there. I do agree.
But also, go ahead. Sorry.
Also just knowing the person. If you know that she is really busy with this club or that club, okay, give it some allowance. But if her text messages are very short and reduced to one-liners, even a couple words, I think, again, cool your jets, back off, and look at other options.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are plenty of people that would much rather talk on the phone than text, too. I've known girls that they hate texting, so you'd always have to talk on the phone, which for me, I don't like talking on the phone at all. So obviously that was an issue to start with, but that's not the point. What the point is that some people they don't like texting, but typically they're going to say that right away and say, you know what, I don't text.
And just be clear about it. And if it's only been a few months, you probably don't know their tendencies completely. So again, like you said, give it some time. All right, well, it's time for another quick commercial break, but we'll be back with one more Love Confessions question. Stay tuned, lovebirds.
Hey, you! Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SBTV is the place for you. At SBTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SBTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SBTV. Let's make media together.
Want to get your game on? Stay up to date on all things video games with SPTV's newest show, Good Game. Join us as we keep you informed on the biggest events in video game news, discuss our opinions on important video game topics, and give you reviews of the games you may or may not want to play. From Mario Brothers to Halo, we've got you covered. Good game, everybody.
Welcome back to the Love Doctor here on SPTV. Our final love confessions question is, why do I miss you so much? I know our relationship was very unhealthy, yet I can't get you out of my mind and I'm hoping that you'll change. Just get over it, just move on, because if it was toxic at all, just let it go. It's not worth it. There's so many nice guys out there, you don't need to be, I don't know if this is a guy or a girl, whoever it is, whoever was toxic, just let them go, move on, spend some time with your friends, spend some time alone, some Netflix, some chocolate, ice cream, a cat. That's a good plan.
Yeah, definitely.
Just let it go.
Yeah, for sure, because it's like they already acknowledged that the relationship wasn't healthy, and I get that people still have that attachment. From experience, being in unhealthy relationships really gets into your mind. But again, go to the gym a couple times, binge on some Ben & Jerry's, pick a new series on Netflix, and get a kitty. Life is good.
Perfect.
The question is, at first it's okay, and then it gets to the point where they're expecting someone else to change, and at that point that's when you have to call it quits. You gotta cut loose. If anybody's gonna change, it's gonna be you. And the other person, they're not gonna change. Obviously, if you've given it that many tries and it was that toxic and destructive, just stop. Like you guys said, a pet, perfect. Pets love you, most pets. I don't know about cats, you guys are pretty big into cats, but just get a pet, get a hobby. You just gotta get your mind off of it, move on. And it sucks, I understand that, but if you're waiting on someone else, you're gonna wait a long time because they'll never change unless they want to.
And a lot of the times out of these situations, you yourself will grow a lot. You'll change for the better, and you'll just be stronger for it. So just, be independent and be all about you. There's nothing wrong with that, taking time for yourself.
Yeah, and again, people sometimes have this negative image of taking time for yourself and being selfish, but that's a good thing. Because again, it helps you get to know yourself and get to know, okay, maybe I'm not a big clubber or whatever like that, and I really just like watching Netflix and eating cupcakes. There's nothing wrong with that, or vice versa.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think that self-time, if you're in a toxic relationship to start with, people around you are going to appreciate that you're not with that person anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be really happy you're
probably
taking
make
some
more
time
friends.
for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You'll
Or
probably
your friends
find
will
more
like you
people.
more.
Right, because you're not with somebody that's just absolutely god-awful. Yeah. So I think there are some definite benefits to just moving on.
Yeah, your friends will appreciate because you won't be complaining, and it's always easy to have that third-person perspective looking at a relationship and being like, girl, this isn't working for you, or dude, she's an absolute whiny lady.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they'll definitely enjoy hanging out with you more.
Yeah, so just call it quits, move on, ice cream and kitties. All right. It is now time to answer questions directly from our viewers via our SurveyMonkey link on Facebook. The first one is, why am I always attracted to jerks? It happens every time. Well, I can speak from experience here because, you don't want someone who you can walk all over. I'm a kind of, I may not come off at first, but I'm kind of a domineering person and I like to get my way. So I like if someone will argue with me when I'm wrong or being mean. So, I like to be challenged in a relationship. I want someone who's just as stubborn, I feel like that works. And, sometimes you're attracted to the jerks because, they'll ignore you or whatever, And it's just why do I do that? But, it comes down to you don't want to be with someone who's boring, and I think that's why that happens. But if you can find someone who strikes a balance between treating you right and, challenging you as a person, then I think you found a good fit.
Definitely, and I think for, again, from a female perspective, being a strong woman, you like to have, almost that typical gender role of a guy who is very, almost aloof, so that you feel like, oh, I'm like the damsel in distress kind of thing. But again, there's a fine line between someone who is a dominant personality and someone who's just
mean.
Someone who's just mean and just disrespectful. And again, if like this person's a jerk, like they're playing you, or they're just being, again, disrespectful or expecting a lot from the relationship that you don't necessarily want to put forth, I mean, then you kind of have to do some introspection and kind of be like, what is this going on? And and also another thing too is we all have a type of person that we're very attracted to, but who isn't exactly good for us. And it's being able to figure out the difference and knowing what personalities are healthy for you to be with and will encourage growth with you, but then what personalities are just bad news bears and you need to clear out of there.
Exactly.
I think it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You hear this question a lot. That's why always bad guys, jerks, they're always terrible. If you keep saying that, why am I like this, and you don't make any effort to meet somebody that's not that way, you're going to keep doing it over and over again. And maybe in a way, some people like being miserable and they like being that person that's always downtrodden. Yeah, they're the ones that they're like, they have the sadistic tendency where they're just always feel like they're just, this person's so mean to me, whatever, but in a way they also love it, which may not be the case, but it's still, like I said, I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where it happens to me every time. What am I going to do? You can't find a way out, and you probably never will.
And that's when you utilize hookup culture and find someone the exact
That's
opposite.
right.
And just try it out, because why not? Because you can.
You have nothing to lose.
And a lot of the times girls, these nice guys will be super interested in them and they'll just, blow it off and go for the guy who ignores them. But maybe we'll give them a little attention here and there just to string them along, just enough. But they'll be like all into it, and why isn't he texting me back? But it's like the thrill of it, like I'm gonna get this one,
Yeah.
I can speak from experience.
Bragging
right
rights.
there. Yeah.
Everyone loves to chase.
Chase, yeah. But sometimes it's not so good when you catch them. All right. Our next viewer question is: my friend and I kissed, but nothing else happened, and we haven't addressed it. What do I do? Well, just address it. Just go for it. Be like, well, what is this? What happened? Regardless of the way you two feel, just, say something and figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, and I guess it depends the context in which this happened. Like if it was, during a movie or something like that and the thrill of the moment caught up to you, then maybe that's worth exploring. If y'all were inebriated and it was an accident, okay, then you kind of have to take that into context and play that out. And again, is this a friend that you just met at the beginning of the semester, or is this a long-time friend that you grew up with? So I guess that would be something to explore.
Yeah, I think if you're asking, it's going to make a difference. And if you're really drunk and you kiss somebody just because, that's one thing. It probably doesn't need to be addressed in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you feel like there's something on the table that needs to be addressed, either do it again or address it. I mean, there's really no other way to go about it.
And this is kind of related to the hookup thing, though not exactly, This is kind of related to the hookup thing, where maybe it was just the thrill of the moment and, there's nothing else really to be addressed there, and that'll just be it, or, do it again, try it again. Who knows what could happen? Yeah. Well, we have to take one more quick commercial break, but stay tuned for our third and final viewer question.
How can you get involved with student media at UWSP? Connecting with your campus television station, SBTV, is easy. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Vine, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Pinterest, follow us on Instagram, or connect with us on Google+. But of course, the best way for you to get involved and stay up to date with all that is happening at our station is to stop by our studio. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at UWSP, Studio B, Room 121. You can also drop by our office, Room 130, for more information on station happenings. We can't wait to get you involved. Come join us at SPTV. Let's make media together.
Are you interested in pursuing a career in animals or just looking for a way to help preserve wildlife? Then the Wildlife Society might be just for you. As one of the largest organizations at UWSP, you will have your chance to help in projects that study and preserve animals, network with professionals, and meet like-minded people. Join us Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and join the Wildlife Society today.
Welcome back. Our final viewer question is, my friend's boyfriend is just really creepy and clingy. How do I gently tell her this? Well, this may not end up being gentle, but I really think you should address it because you can't control what anybody does, but you can address it and you can say, you know, this is what I've noticed. They're doing this, that, and the other thing, and I really think you should, you know, think about it, consider about what's going on, especially if it seems toxic, you know, abusive, whether that be physically, emotionally, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think, and again, the stage of the relationship kind of needs to be taken into play. For example, if you're in a more serious relationship and they call you to like, no, hey, if you're done with work or something like that, you know, that's not always clingy. But if like you guys have been going out together for like 2 or 3 weeks and they're texting you like, are you done with class
Constantly,
now?
yeah.
Or they're checking the phone, or they are always over, you know,
Yeah.
that's when you address something. And I mean, as far as how would you tell her this, you know, say, hey, so-and-so, I just want to talk to you about something because I'm concerned. And, you know, and just be respectful like that.
I think if you think somebody's a total creepazoid, somebody else will. I mean, if you have multiple roommates, there's a good chance that everybody kind of agrees with you and that you're probably not imagining it. And if it's somebody that's over all the time, I mean, you almost have to bring up like a rent situation just because it's, I mean, what do you do at that point? Because you guys pay to live there. It's almost not fair to have somebody else hanging out there all the time, which, and I mean, I've done that before. I've hung out at somebody's apartment a lot, and that's, you know, it gets hairy and it gets a little awkward every now and then, but somebody you have to say something if you're uncomfortable with it, or if, I mean, especially if somebody's really creepy, then it's like you don't want them around at all. So it's not a great situation as far as, I think the clinginess and the creepiness is one thing, but if they're around a lot, I think it's almost like a practical question at that point.
And have an intervention, like you said. Multiple people bring up everything that happened, you know, creeping us on Facebook, you know, tracking everything that person does. That's a little much for me when people do that. I'm like, what are you doing with your day? Are you just on my Facebook? Is that all you do?
Yep.
You know, the kind of thing. And that's really common, I think, with the creepiness thing in relationships this day and age. And the constant texting thing, or constant calling, or the jealousy thing.
Yeah.
That comes into play a lot. Or, you know, taking you away from your friends. All warning signs that you should mention and be like, this is what I've seen. And again, he or she is going to, you know, make their own choice in the end. You can't control anybody, but you can be a concerned friend and bring it to light, for sure.
And chances are she will be a little bit cranky with you and kind of go through a little bit of a denial period. But again, just be respectful about it and let her know how much you care about her well-being.
And that her boyfriend's a total creep.
Don't
forget
just
that
throw
part.
that out there,
Just in passing.
All right. Well, that's all the love advice we have time for today, Pointers. Be sure to like us on Facebook at The Love Doctor on SPTV and submit your own burning love confessions and questions direct to us via our SurveyMonkey link. Until next time, you are in our hearts, Stevens Point.
You had the Steelers when they had the top 5 defense. They were dominating. Big Ben was pretty good. He wasn't the best offense in the league.
But where defense wins championships is overplayed is the fact that you look at defense wins championships. Yeah, okay, your defense can be great as ever, but look at the Browns right now. If their offense doesn't stuff as well as players play.
The Panthers have about the same exact offense as Seattle does right now. Last year they had about the same offense stats and everything across the board. Am I right on that or no?
You're right. You know what?
Watch Final Take only right here on SPTV for anything Pointers, anything sports.
How can you get involved with student media at UWSP? Connecting with your campus television station, SPTV, is easy. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Vine, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Pinterest, follow us on Instagram, or connect with us on Google+. But of course, the best way for you to get involved and stay up to date with all that is happening at our station is to stop by our studio. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at UWSP, Studio B, Room 121. You can also drop by our office, Room 130, for more information on station happenings. We can't wait to get you involved. Come join us at SPTV. Let's make media together.